Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another post show breakdown here at BC WrestlePod. Tonight, we have the La Nextrema crew, the NXT PLE review squad here at BC WrestlePod to break down NXT's Vengeance Day. Of course, my name is Mikey. I am El Jefe of BC WrestlePod. Apologies for the late start. It has been a whirlwind of a day, and I appreciate my co host for bearing with me. But I have got the crew with me tonight. First and foremost, the man with the plan, who is in the building live for this one, and also is sporting his brand new Belly Bandits Hank and Take jersey as well, which looks really, really fun. The Pleat Father himself, Kilt Man, I am happy to have you here, and I look forward to your insights tonight. We love that. Anyways, so while Kilt gets the sound fix, rounding out our trio tonight is Mr. Papa Oso himself, who is making his reappearance here on the channel. It has been a hot minute since you have been here. And what better way to come back than the pay-per-view before Stand and Deliver? So this should be fun.
Yeah.
Love that.
Hola.
So I'm excited. This is going to be fun. So before we get into all of it, of course, we're going to keep this intro very short because I want to spend most of our time talking about Vengeance Day. YouTube, Twitch, and Kick is where you can see us go live. YouTube also has the edited versions of this episode, which will go up live tomorrow evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. So that should be a good time as well. Um, yeah, Papa also is dealing with some severe weather, so if he vanishes, that's probably the reason. So, and still no sound from the Kiltmon. We're just a whole whirlwind of a
Test,
mess. There you
test,
go.
12.
There you go.
Okay, so I forgot to push one thing. I got everything else fixed up, and because the microphone slid down, welcome back, Papa. Also, because the microphone slid down, it hit the power button, the volume button on the microphone, and said, "Hey, you can't talk right now until you slide me up and push it." So
Yeah.
I'm going to get a new microphone soon.
That is very, very true. Anyways, so before all that went down, of course, BC WrestlePod is on the social medias where you see report cards, previews of the weekly shows and pay-per-views, clips from these shows, as well as prediction stuff. And we're coming to the end of our prediction season. So we are so close to the end of all of our prediction season. So who will stand tall at the end of Stand and Deliver for NXT? Stay tuned to find out.
It's not going to be me because I know for a fact I will be done because of one PLE.
Listen, so I'm gonna get through this. We also have merch, bcwrestlepodshop.fourthwall.com. Links in the chats below where you can get some really fun merch of all of our shows. It's a lot of fun. And then, of course, we have a coffee that helps us, pay for all these pay-per-views and streaming sites that we are going to. We're going to talk about it because Shawn Michaels announced today where NXT Stand and Deliver is going to be aired because with NXT's contract with Peacock coming to an end, we were wondering how we were going to watch Stand and Deliver, and we're going to talk about that at the very end. But we pay for a lot of stuff. So if you want to help us continue to do all these things, feel free to donate, but not required. Just you being here and being present is enough for us. We love you. Alrighty, enough with the lovey-dovey stuff. Let's get into NXT's Vengeance Day. I'm not going to lie, gentlemen. I was a little worried going into the show because I was just like, we kind of sped run some of these feuds. I had questions going in. The Go Home show answered some of them, but I still had more. And dare I say, I honestly was very pleasantly surprised. And I thought overall, minus a couple of things, I thought this was a really pretty solid PLE.
Yeah.
Definitely made me a lot less mad than Deadline. I can tell you that much. But we're going to get into all of this. So let's just jump into it. So Vengeance Day came to us live from the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida, is what they were touting. Of course, Kilt, you were there, boots to the ground, and you were in there. It took
was
me a
so good. It was such a good position. I got there early. I wasn't like towards the front of the first line, but I got on the second bus. Like I was probably maybe 3/4 of the way through the second bus, and they took us into one side. Okay, so they usually load that middle section first,
Mhm.
and they will bottom up. Well, because that's what you're supposed to do. Um, and because I was on the second bus and where I was on the second bus and blah 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 blah. But it's me. I chit chat with everybody. I make friends, and I made friends this time. But I didn't really talk to. Actually, I met another a TikTok wrestling person, Fatherless, great guy. Chit chatted with him a little bit. Talked more after the event. He was on my bus. Anywho, yeah, I got that super good seat. It was like third row, right on the pylon, basically,
Mhm.
and it was just right there. What's funny is I'm gonna shout him out again. He was talking with one of his because he does some reviews as well. He was talking to one of his buddies that he brought with him, and they were talking about potentially oh yeah, he asked him like, would you come back? And the guy was like, yeah, well, the title of the was NXT stinks, and I was like, and then he's like he was talking about a bunch of stuff. I'm like, the only thing that I tend to notice when I'm at the PC is it smells like Italian. It smells like garlic knots and freaking pasta sauce. And I don't know why. And I'm always hungry.
Tony
But
D'Angelo out here making food, I'm telling you.
dude, it would be hysterical if that was. But I don't know who orders the catering. I don't know where they go. Probably somewhere. But I don't know why they always get Italian.
But we
And
want some.
give me some. Like, why is it always Italian? This is my first question. I love garlic nuts, but what the fuck?
Listen, I'm simple. If you feed me, I will be yours forever. It is not that hard for me.
Exactly. And it's like, ooh, I will give you more. But it was a solid crowd. It was a solid event. The promo was a little long with Jason.
We're gonna talk
Jane
about
and
that because that was my biggest ill of the episode. But we're gonna talk about that. So
yeah, we'll talk about that.
let's just jump into it because we got a lot to talk about. So we kicked off Vengeance Day with our street fight. So of course, this is Miss Jada Parker versus the Glamour Blake Monroe. Now, again, when we found out on the Go Home show that this was going to be a street fight, I tempered my expectations because WWE street fights and NXT street fights aren't at the level of craziness to say like a TNA or an AEW or insert gimmick match anywhere else in the world where you can bleed. But dare I say, there were a couple times where I was just like, I think Blake Monroe died. I think Jada broke her ass a few times too. And they both are probably going to walk away with some bruises by the end of this. But I actually really enjoyed this match. There was a lot of fun spots. Of course, Jada hitting literally the Mario Party ground pound through the table with Blake on top of it. So it's just like, oh, Blake broke her ribs, and Jada probably broke her ass in this move. There were stairs. We had kendo sticks. I have to commend both Jada and Blake because there's this one spot where they like hooked up the chair to the ropes and then like slammed it into it, which caused it to fold with the kendo stick. So it's like, dare I say, I have yet to seen that before, and I was like, ooh, that looks devastating. This is just pure fun, as best as a street fight we can get in NXT without the craziness and blood. Um, I did appreciate that instead of thumbtacks, we got plastic diamonds, which I was just like, I looked at them, I was like, now I have seen and used those before, and I know those bitches hurt when you land on them. So to pull off wrestling moves on top of them, I knew was going to suck so badly. So shout out to both Blake and Jada for taking that. But yeah, to my surprise, and the only match I say not I, we, because we all picked the same thing. This is the only match we got wrong because Blake Monroe is the winner and wins this street fight before Jada. I was just like, damn. I was just like, I feel like Blake could have lost here. Jada always gets put in this position where she is winning the feud, and then she gets her ass handed to her in the matches that go here. I was just like, we need a blowout match. Jada needs we need to run this back. Jada needs to get it back.
This match didn't make any damn sense to me because I'm like, this is a street fight, and Jada Parker does not walk out of it victorious.
I mean,
come on. I mean, really? I mean, now look, I'm not saying, I'm being serious about it. I'm like, I cannot believe that Jada Parker, Miss, came up and did all this, Miss Ghetto herself. And she's like streetwise and, she got it and she loses this type of fight against Blake Monroe. And I'm like, if you were going to do this, if you're going to have Blake Monroe win, this should have been a completely different fight for me. At the end of this fight, I was so pissed off. And it's got nothing to do with predictions. I literally was like, this makes total sense. Jada Parker would win this match because it is a street match. It makes absolute sense. It makes no sense that she gets beat by Barbie.
Well, and here's the crazier thing. Like, let's talk about it too, because technically this is her first big feud. Like, what, Jada returned about less than a month ago, about 4 weeks ago. Like, she was off of television for a little bit, and then she came back, and then she started feuding with Blake. Now, if we're gonna get a 3-round, so to speak, with these, where we get 3 matches in this feud, then fine. Losing here is fine. But in her return match, after being gone from most of television, towards the end of last year and the beginning of this year, and then for her to get into this feud with Blake, which is great for Jada, and to have her lose, I will be less upset with this if we continue to have this feud. But based on what happened last night, I don't know if Jada and Blake are going to run it back anytime soon. And I was just like, great, you brought Jada back for what? To lose?
In a street fight. That is what I don't get. I'm like, it could have been any other type of fight other than a street fight. See, a street fight should have been Jada's ace in the hole. She, if they did this, Blake Monroe and her, blah, blah, Blake wins, or, Jada wins, Blake wins, whatever. It doesn't matter. But in the final match, it should have been a street match and Jada should have whooped her ass. Or put it in the second one and have her whoop her ass there. I mean, it was just like, I don't understand what they did here. I don't get it. I literally was so pissed off. I mean, the match was great. Don't get me wrong. I loved watching it. But I was just like, this makes no damn sense to me.
I appreciate your thoughts, Papa. So, Kilt, I mean, you were in the building with this one. Me and you were texting as we were both watching it. Of course, I was on the tape delay by like 30 seconds. So when you were texting stuff, I'm like, well, give it in 10. There we go. So,
yeah, that was always fun. Because it takes me like 3 to 5 seconds to text you what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, all right, it's probably going to get there in like 2 seconds. I'm still 10 seconds behind you. I'm like, damn it, man. Catch up. But no,
so yeah, what did you think of the street fight?
No one in that audience. Well, there was a few people in the audience who liked that result, but the overwhelming majority was pissed that Miss Parker lost. Like, the fuck? How do you have Miss Parker lose in a street fight? How do you have fucking that doesn't make any fucking sense? It's like if you had freaking had Lola Vice lose in an underground match, which we need more of, because holy shit, we'll get to it, but holy shit, that was cool. We need more. How do you do this? It's like you threw in Bad Bunny for an underground match, or not for an underground, for a street fight match, and he loses. Or you throw in Damian Priest, or you throw in, name a you put in the Hardy Boys in the TLC match, and they lose.
Lest
Like,
we forget, they have lost. Remember, they lost
well,
their
yeah, okay,
NXT.
hold on, hold on.
Yeah,
Let me clarify.
yeah.
They lose to someone such as I'm trying to be good because I was going to say Pretty Deadly, but I
No,
love those
Pretty
boys.
Tedley is great.
But
Now remember,
that's not their bread and butter. TLC is not their bread and butter.
Dark State were the ones to beat the Hardys at Halloween Havoc back in October to get the NXT championships back. So
Yeah,
remember how mad we were about that result too?
Yes, I'm very mad, but I'm still I'm making a hey, this is what they're known for. But say also with Dark State, in that analogy, Dark State is more conducive to that style of a match, that style of fight wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Blake Monroe is not a street fight style, not at all. She's very clean cut, very Americanized, like just
At least
normal.
the character that we're being presented, because
Yes,
I know people tend to forget, because I was like Blake Monroe, and then I look at her, Mariah May back in AEW at this point last year. I'm like, now I know you can go, but storyline wise, this does not warrant you winning here. Now, I don't know if it's because I will say, and we talked about this, Jordan Grace and her having that steel cage match at Battleground was awesome. And Blake lost that. So I was just like, okay, Jordan winning makes a lot of sense. But unless you're going to run this back and give us the trifecta of 3 matches in the feud, if we're not running this back, because again, it seems that Blake is going to be busy with the Women's North American Championship scene going into Stand and Deliver, it just makes me, it irritates me that Jada was brought back for her to lose this. And so now what Jada gonna do? What we gonna do with her? Like, is she gonna be off my television screen again? Because I don't want that. I was like, don't.
It doesn't make any sense. They wrote this story and then said, "Ploof. Well, we'll figure it out later."
Yes.
And unfortunately, it smells of main roster.
Lord help us. I'm just like, it's getting insane out here. But again, Blake wins. If I wanted to run it back, but it seems that we're going to put a pause on it. I'm like, no, don't stop and start feuds, NXT. We have already talked about this. We don't want these feuds to start and stop. They've been doing this for the last year or two. And I was just like, you are cooling feuds. And then when you go back to them, I was just like, I'm going to be honest. I don't care about it no more because it's been too long. But anyways, let's keep going because we still got a whole thing to talk about. So let's talk about these two, because this weird bromance is so annoying as fuck. But I see where we're going and I don't hate it. So backstage, Ethan Page is looking a little bit better. He is still dejected after Miles Bourne whooped his ass, not once, but twice. The first time taking the NXT North American champion from Ethan. And then on the go home show, while they were still dressed in their plain clothes, Miles whipped his ass again to retain the championship. And so Ricky wants to make sure that Ethan is going to be on the same page and be out there to help him in his match against Joe Hendry. I was just like, this is a toxic relationship, and I'm here for it. And we're going to talk about the main event because I'm like, I smell a triple threat at Stand and Deliver. Especially after what happened on this Tuesday, but we'll wait until we get to the main event to talk about it. So we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about these two a little bit later, because right now, I'm going to be honest. I was like, this match is going to suck. I'm going to just let this next picture show it all. God damn, I was actually entertained. I was like, ooh, this match is kind of killing it. Also, Tony D'Angelo, when that bun fell apart and your hair was coming down, I was just like, well, hello there.
I did too. I didn't even notice it came loose until he stood up and just rah. I'm like, okay, there, big lion, what's up? But
I was like, damn,
this was so great.
This match ruled.
We didn't know which side they were coming in from, and then they just popped straight through the fucking crow's nest, and I'm like, what's funny is I noticed Mike Rome stand up from his chair and walk away. I'm like, what the hell are you doing, Mike? And then all of a sudden, wham! Like, Oh, that's what you're doing.
He's like, and they're coming in 5 seconds. Let me GTF
I'm
'em."
gonna get. He's like, let me get the fuck out
before he gets ran over.
again.
Oh man, I thought Tony and Dion got hurt because when they went through, the crow's nest, they ran into whatever case that was sitting there. I'm like, oh, someone's head just went through there. I'm like, oh my God, that is crazy. But let me break down the events really quickly, right? So we got a couple of the NXT people in the parking lot. Dion Lennox is waiting in the parking lot for Tony to arrive. Quote unquote, Tony's car arrives and all the Dark State like attack him, but it turns out it's a decoy. And then Tony jumps them from behind. Then we have them brawling in the parking lot, brawling them backstage, coming back out to the parking lot, down the hallway outside. And then when the numbers game is too much, all of a sudden, out the mud just jumps in and they jump the Dark State boys too. And I was just like, oh shit, everybody getting into this one. I was here for it. Because also OTM got beef with Dark State. So OTM is taking care of the Dark State boys for a little bit, which then Dion and Tony head backstage once again. So they went through a door, they went through the wall, and then eventually they made their way to the crow's nest in which the fight continued. This was so intense and out of control. I was just like, well, damn, color me surprised. I was pleasantly surprised with this one of how intense and how crazy. And this was just a regular kind of match. I know we started in the parking lot, but this is not a street fight. This felt more street fight than the opening match did because this was a parking lot fight. It was crazy out here. My God. And by the end of this, after a really fun back and forth, Mr. Lion Tamer himself, Tony the Daddy D'Angelo, wins this match and puts a nail in.
Hold up. It is
Hold up.
Tony the Lion Daddy D'Angelo.
My mistake.
Because he has
Tony,
that mane.
I was just like, I need you, Tony D'Angelo. I need you and Paulo Malo to tell me what that hair care routine be looking like out here.
Shoot, can I get some plugs? Gimme. I want some hair back.
Listen, if I can grow hair like Tony D'Angelo, I would be unstoppable.
That's fair. Me too.
Anyways, Tony D'Angelo wins. This was really good. I'm gonna go to you first, Kilt. What did you think about this match?
Oh, this was so much fun. This is at the top of my list for the night. This was so much fun. Like the crowd went nuts when OTM showed up and started whooping ass. It was so cool. I loved every step of this, and like trying to get the layout of the different areas that they go through. And it's like, okay, where are they going? Which side are they coming in from? Are they coming from that way? Are they coming from that way? Like what's going on? And then like I am so glad I got to be in this because it was phenomenal.
Love it. Papa Oso, your turn. Tell me about this match and on a scale of 1 to 10, how thirsty are we for Daddy Lion to Tony D'Angelo now?
I have no numbers. That's so high. I've always had a soft spot for Tony anyway, but now I have a hard spot for him. So no.
Excuse me while I clip that because that needs to be done.
Yes, do it right now.
So going back on my past experience when I was younger with my dad and all that, this beautiful event that unfolded is what wrestling is all about. This was a beautiful piece of physical storytelling. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We knew what was happening. We knew who was doing what, why they were doing what. Everything was so beautifully done that it was. I watched it twice. I was like, "This is freaking awesome!" And of course, any chance I get to see Dark State get their asses whooped, I'm there for it because they drive me insane. And it was great to see Out of the Mud coming and like doing it. I was like, yes, I'm so happy that they have shifted into something so much better than what they started out with. And it's so wonderful to see them like getting into it. And like, then I love this Dark State Out of the Mud sort of, well, I don't know what you want to call a rivalry or whatever, but I do love that. But no, overall, I love this. This took me back to my childhood when wrestling was like, grab a 2x4 and hit that guy in the head. I mean, it was like whatever I can do. I mean, throwing through doors and things like that. I mean, that's the showmanship, man. And it was thrilling for me. This was, out of everything that happened this evening, this was probably like my highlight because it was so fun and exciting and thrilling and showy, and it had its cheesy moments, and it was like, it took me all the way, it took me back to my childhood. It was great.
Right. And I feel like this is the direction, that I'm really happy to see Tony go into. I need more intensity from him because, dare I say, I would like to think that this kind of weird put together match for Vengeance Day is kind of probably Tony's best match so far in NXT, at least for me personally. But this was such a fun one. I had a blast watching this. And, as we found out, now that Tony has kind of put to bed the chapter with Dark State, because Dark State is also moving on, because it seems that they and Out the Mud are going to be feuding for a little bit. Last night, Tony, put Joe Hendry on notice, be like, hey, I'm coming for that title at some point, so be ready. I'm like, Tony D'Angelo as NXT champion, let's go, because I've been waiting forever. And I think now that we have kind of a shift in his character and what he stands for and where we're going, let's do it. I'm here for it. So we move on from this match into this one, and I'm just like, so this was my favorite match of the entire night. And dare I say, I'm going to get on my soapbox a little bit and then I will break this down officially, right? So this past weekend, it has been a whirlwind of how many events I had to watch in order to get ready for this week's reviews. But I have no qualms about it because between CMLL, it's a Friday show, this match here at NXT Vengeance Day, and Eve Wrestle Queendom 8 on Sunday, I am getting on my soapbox to once again say that, like all the previous years in the 2020s, women's wrestling has carried us through and tends to be the best parts of the professional wrestling scene. And my God, for me personally, the moment definitely was the cherry on top of who ended up being the winner. But this was Tatum and Izzy's best showing to date, in my personal opinion. Now, I know I've had my issues with Izzy's character going into this feud and going into this match, but holy crap, Tatum and Izzy brought their A game and they brought out everything they had. And you know what? I also appreciated that the rest of the boys of the Colleen, so to speak, they were there as like an accent to the action. They weren't directly involved. They weren't trying to cost anything. They were just, visually on my screen and they played their parts well. But holy hell, this was my match of the entire night. This was such a fun back and forth. And I was just like, this match made me ooh and ah the whole way through because there were so many near falls. I was like, oh my God, Izzy's going to win and retain. Oh no, Tatum's about to do it here. Also, Tatum Paxley, the graveyard driver as your finisher looks hella fun to watch do of how she finishes the match. And no notes. This was awesome. This was a fun back and forth. They gave it everything they had. And the fact that Tatum is your new NXT Women's North American Champion, she is now the only other woman in NXT history to be an NXT Women's and an NXT North American Champion. The only other person to have done that before her. And honestly, I would be proud to be in this Hall of Fame, so to speak, with this honor, is Miss Stephanie Vaquer. Stephanie and Tatum are the only two women in NXT's history to hold both women's titles at some point while they were here in NXT. I'm like, damn, Tatum, be in that presence, bask in this moment. And then I started crying when I saw her, how excited she was on social media and how much her and Shawn Michaels were celebrating and being like a dad. Shawn Michaels was hugging her and congratulating her. I'm like, but
he is really embracing social media a lot more than well,
Hunter.
yeah. Mr. Levesque over there. No, he doesn't get to be called Hunter no more. It's Mr. Levesque or Paul. I know
Paul.
there's Paul Heyman. It's Paul Levesque. I'm not calling him Triple H no more. But no, yeah, he like you've while he hangs out with the crowd at NXT in the merch booth before the show a couple of times. He shoots a lot of hilarious moments backstage, behind the scenes stuff, and just goofy things. Like you'll see later. We'll talk a little. I think we'll touch a little bit on tonight's episode or last night's episode, but there was a little after action scene between Sean and Sean and Shiloh.
Oh my god. Okay.
It was so hilarious.
We're gonna wait at the very end because honestly, I think Shiloh Hill might be my new favorite person, especially after last night. But I'm gonna start with Papa Oso on this one. Let's talk about it. This match for the Women's North American Championship. Just tell us, Papa, what did you think about this match?
This match did not go the way I thought it was going to go. I mean, not the ending, but just the sheer. I thought this was just going to be another, like, sort of almost kind of throwaway. That's kind of how I was going into it because they've kind of, just because of the way the whole Izzy and Tatum thing has been going. I was just like, it felt more like, oh, they're just playing with us. I was like, oh, here we go again. That's where I was at the beginning of it. Then as it started, I was like, okay, all right, this is not bad. And then, it sucked me in and I was there with it. And boy, howdy, I have never been so proud of Tatum in my entire life. Because ever since Tatum has hit our scene way back, Mikey, when you and I it was just you and I, man, we were like on board with her. And I was like, God, she has so much potential. And then they finally started to kind of focus on her a little bit here and there. And I was like, yes, yes. So when she won this, through all of her struggles up to this point, and when she won that belt, I cried. I literally had tears in my eyes because I was so happy for her. Because I was like, man, this girl has been to hell and back with the storylines they've been putting her in. And then to finally take this from Izzy, I felt like a proud papa. And yeah, this was my match of the night as well. And I just, after this match ended, I had to pause and like literally sit there and kind of take it in. I literally was just like, I had tears running down my cheeks. And I just sat there and I was just like, God, I'm so proud of her. Not that necessarily my gushings on her mattered in the universe, but I was literally just like, God, I'm so proud of who Tatum Paxley has become in her journey from when we first met her to now. And I always thought, I was like, God, she has like championship she has that quality. And I think she could be a great champion if given the shot. And now she's got it. And I'm really hoping that this title builds her up. And they don't just like, oh, she's got the title. Now we're going to take it away from her again, or that sort of thing.
We don't need that to happen again, like when she won the
No.
NXT Women's Championship.
Right. And so I really hope this is them saying Tatum Paxley is a true champion
Mm-hmm.
and not just a belt holder. because
Agreed.
which will piss me off if they do that because she
So
deserves it.
exactly. Kilt, I mean, like, like
There was only a few people in that stadium, or you can call it a stadium, in that sound stage. This is the best way to describe it. That actually were Izzy centric. Only a few. Everyone was Tatum. Like, I love the fact that she ran up towards my area because which I was on the other side of, and I was kind of unfortunate. But it's great. It's like if you see one, like there was, if you kind of like zoom in a little bit, you can see my fat tubbiness on the opposite side of the aisle. It was that was such a good match. It was so well done. I loved every moment of it, and I cannot wait to see what happens next. I I'm I just I'm excited.
I am too. And to kind of speak to what you were saying, Will, is that because yeah, since we've been covering NXT here for who knows how long, like me, you, and even Andrew when he was a part of the crew too, we all said that there's something with Tatum that we really love and we really enjoy. And I'm really happy to see how far she's come, and I'm really excited. Now, she has a big test ahead of her because next Tuesday, when NXT hits San Antonio, you know,
Houston.
oh, sorry, Houston, my bad. No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of TNA going to San Antonio here really shortly. Sorry. So NXT is heading to Houston next Tuesday, and Tatum is going to have a really big test ahead of her because it's her and Izzy in a rematch. But this time, this is it, steel cage match. And I was just like, honestly, I'm here for this. And please, Shawn Michaels, don't make me mad once again. Tatum should get the definitive win over Izzy in the steel cage for this one. So we shall see what happens. But yeah, this definitely was the match of the night for me, and I could not have been happier with the result. And I'm excited to see Tatum run with this championship. So please, Shawn Michaels, let her win against Izzy next week. But I had a good time with this one. Yeah. Honestly, I'm gonna put this on my recommended to watch for March of 2026 matches to watch, and we're barely at the beginning of the month already.
Oh heck yeah, I'm right there with you. Stamp.
I'm like, damn, I already have like 5 matches that I want people to watch. And 3 of these 5 are already match of the year contenders for me, which is nuts to talk about. This is a really good moment. So let's keep this going because we still got a whole other show to talk about. And yeah, so really quickly, OTM is coming after Dark State. Dark State has quote unquote fucked up the bag for OTM. It's taking tag title opportunities, singles opportunities away from them and other people. It's time that OTM kind of balances the scales, so to speak. So I'm like, yes, OTM just out here beating up Dark State. I'm not going to be disappointed in that. Let's go with this. Alrighty, so let's get this over with because this segment went on way too long. This was a convoluted way to get to where we are going next Tuesday. But Robert Stone is out there, Fatal Influence come out. JC cuts a promo. Zarya, like a bad ex-girlfriend, interrupts, and I do love her shirt though. I love the shirt that says Soul's X. Bedazzled. I was just like, that is some petty ass shit, and I'm messy and I'm here for it. Then, Zarya talks to JC and, telling her that she would have been one had Soul not interfered. Soul comes out. The girls get into an arguing match. Robert Stone makes the announcement, which I was surprised because I was like, up, stand and deliver. Here we go. Triple threat. Let's do this. No, we are getting this triple threat next week in Texas. And I was just like, so then what is going to happen at Stand and Deliver, you guys? What are we doing? And then a whole brawl breaks out with, Fatal Influence standing tall. And I'm just sitting here and I was just like, we spent like 10 minutes, which you could have simplified this to a 2-minute backstage promo where it'd be like, hey, we're going to do a triple threat in Texas. So y'all need to get ready. I was like, I know we got a pad at the time, but I was like, this was convoluted as hell. But now I'm like, okay, so depending on what happens next week, what's our women's title match at Stand and Deliver looking like? Because I have no idea.
This
So
was. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
just so that way I can throw it into, because they could have probably done this as a backstage segment.
Mhm.
Yeah, they could have drawn it out backstage. But the thing about it is, I know they needed time to switch the ring into underground rules, because that's what the next match was. They could have done it during that. They could have given more time to set that match up, or set the ring up for the
Mhm.
underground match, and had this as a backstage segment.
Mhm.
Just why? Like, it was so it sapped a lot of energy out of the room.
Yep, I bet. This is the wrestling personification of an email, and we would have gotten just as much out of it.
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, this was. I hate when they do. I hate waste of time promo crap. That's just like, why are we doing this? This did not need to be a whole filmed segment.
Mhm.
This is like, yeah, I was just like, oh god. I fast forwarded through most of it. Actually, I think I fast forwarded through just about all of it, because I was just like, nope, let's get to the wrestling. I was like, nope, nope. Unless someone's gonna come in and hit somebody with a 2x4, I'm done. Let's move on.
I literally said the same thing. Like, can I skip this? Oh wait, this isn't the freaking Adam Sandler movie that he made.
I believe it was called Click.
Yep, that one. I was like, click, snap. No, not drag. It's something. Not remote. I know that. I knew the remote was in it. Christopher Walken was in it. But like, I wanted to speed it up because it was so boring and so dry. And they were so rude to like Stone. I'm like, come on.
The
Don't
girls would
be
not let that
rude
man
to
talk.
that man. Like, I know no one really likes him that much, but come on. Like, have some professional decorum here.
Have some
Don't be
social
a-
decorum, as the kids say.
Exactly. Have some social decorum, says the man in the kilt. You know, it's like, I just, again, I may not like Robert Stone, whatever, R. Stone. I don't know what, I can't remember his real name off the top
Mr.
of my head.
Stone.
Mr. Stone, I may not like you much. You got me in this accent. How dare you, Mikey? Anyway, I'm going to keep going. Mrs. Stone, I may not like you. I may not understand you well yet, but you're growing on me. And I don't want to see you disrespected, because that's disrespectful for the GM of my favorite TV show. How dare the GM of my favorite soap opera get disrespected like that? Ladies, please show some decorum. Bitch.
At the same time, though, it is fun to watch Robert Stone kind of get thrown around a little bit. So I'm not gonna lie, just a little bit. Now on NXT, yes, I want the respect for him, but when he shows up on TNA, I'm like, Jody Threat, beat a bitch ass, like beat him up. Like, on TNA, I'm like, oh god, he's a heel, beat him up right now. I don't know who's more annoying, him or the concierge for the Elegance brand, but stay tuned for that debate on Friday.
Pee Wee Herman.
Pee Wee Herman. Lord help us. That is a crime against Paul Rubens. How dare
that
you?
was my first NXT show at the PC, was when he was there with the Elegance brand. And I remember, because it was funny, I was actually sitting across the aisle from where I sat on Saturday.
Saw Ash too, yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, all of a sudden, I'm just standing there, kind of like, just watching what's going on in the ring, and all of a sudden, I just feel a hand go whap. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Oh shit! Okay, wrestler. Sorry, ma'am.
Ash by
and so
Elegance.
She sat down like in front of me, or the one behind, one in front of that, and they were calling him Pee Wee Herman and all that. I remember it was vividly. I was like, holy crap! I didn't realize I was here.
So. Also, just to kind of end this too, I talked a little bit about this week. The crowd came a little bit more correct than last week, But I still find it weird that we're getting more people booing for Sol Ruka now. It's just like, damn, this was a quick turn. I know everybody loves Zarya now that she's a heel, but damn, y'all. I was like, we turned on Sol real quick. So I was just like, no, you cannot make me hate my girl. I love Sol Ruka. Her, like, anyways. But yeah, so we get this triple threat next Tuesday. So I'm like, well, we're going to see how the stand and deliver match is going to turn out literally like 2 weeks later. So yeah, we are about 3 weeks away from stand and deliver. Let that sink in, you guys. And for the first, like we talked about, for the first time since its inception, Stand and Deliver is not part of WrestleMania weekend. So it is happening 2 weeks before WrestleMania. And we will be doing a live watch along for Stand and Deliver Saturday, April 4th. I will be on spring break, so a bitch has no priorities. So I'm excited. But more on that later. We got to keep the show rolling because NXT Underground, let's talk about it. So I knew this match wasn't going to go long. And then, I was just like, honestly, though, even though I wanted it like maybe 2 more minutes, dare I say, on paper, in terms of all the matches and the stories going into Vengeance Day, this is probably the best one that is being told because this has been going on for 2 months. This back and forth between Lola and Kalani, beating Lola beating Kalani injuring Lola, and they're always fighting in the locker room, which is a lot of fun to watch. And so again, I love this for Kalani because she is the Icarus and she flew too close to the sun in this situation because she thought she could easily beat Lola if she trained with Shayna Baszler. But I'm like, girl, this underground match was made for Lola Vice. She is a whole ass MMA fighter IRL. I'm like, Kalani girl, we flew too close to the sun, and instead of your wings of wax getting burnt and you plummeting to your death, I can say this because that is how Lola won. You got knocked the fuck out. Also, shout out to Lola's dad. I was just like, he did not read the script. Like, all his emotions were real. And I was like, I'm telling you, man, you cannot keep a Latin man and his emotions in check. You're going to tell him to tone it down? Fuck all that. We are passionate people. And so this match was a lot of fun. And yeah, Kalani again being so fucking cocky in this match. Like storyline wise, it's so fun watching her get more cocky and arrogant, and then for her to get knocked out by Lola at the end of this match was a lot of fun. This is not a 5-star classic. I'm not going to put this on my match of the year contenders, but you know what? This ends the feud right here. And the right person is the ultimate winner of this feud in Lola Vice. And I'm still rooting for Lola. Let's put a championship on. Let's put an NXT championship. Let me rephrase that because technically she is a champion. She is a AAA mixed tag team champion with Mr. Iguana. But let's put an NXT championship on this girl now. So, Kilt, I'm going to start with you for this one. How did we feel about Lola Vice versus Kalani Jordan in NXT Underground? Are muted.
There is one image I really wish you had put to the decks. And I'll see if I can freeze frame it real quick. And but it is one of the best. There we go. Focus. It's our belly bandits dancing with Lola.
Hank and Tank just dancing to Lola's
music.
Literally,
they were hamming it up the entire time they were out there. Like, and what's great is they're doing like Japanese drumming on the mat when they're all drumming. And it's those two I love so much. They were doing sumo stuff on the side. They were interacting with the crowd. Like everything about these two, about those two were hilarious. But this match, oh my god, I want more. I cannot give me NXT Underground 2K27. Give me like a freaking. I don't want to I don't want a full PLE specifically for an underground matches, but I wouldn't be upset by it. Like, even if they do like an Evolve style show where it's like just like 30 people just kind of hanging about and they're just doing some, just like 2 or 3 matches, not even like a full hour, maybe like a half hour. Do like 4 or 5 minute matches, or do like 5 minute matches, and call it a weekend. Have some fun, even if it's just. I want more. Like, I saw that. I obviously, I'm the newest person to NXT, so I never really got to see the underground stuff prior. But I love this match. Like, yes, as you said earlier, Mikey, it's not the best match of the night. That's still going for Tatum Paxley for me. But this was a great match. I enjoyed the ever living crap out of this. I want more.
The NXT Underground match can be a lot of fun. Well, let me put it this way: the women's ones have usually been better. The men's Underground has been hit or miss. I will say though, I did enjoy when they were both still in the company. The Dijak and the Eddie Thorpe one was actually really fun. I was like, that one was good. The other ones that we've seen on the men's side had not so much. But anyways, Papa Oso, same question to you. How do we feel about this underground match between Lola and Kalani?
This match went exactly how I thought it was going to go. It's like, I mean, I love both of them. I love, me, I'm a huge Kalani fan, but I was like, girl, you're going into the underground with Lola. Baby, I love you, but no.
This match is the equivalent for Kalani and Lola, like with Kalani being so arrogant. This match literally is the equivalent of talk shit, get hit. Like,
Yeah, fuck around and find out. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, it was like, wow. I mean, but it went exactly as I thought it would. It was a great match, and I loved it. And of course, I was like, Lola, duh, she's gonna walk out of this. I literally was like, it's an underground match. I was like, Lola. And now I will tell you this: if Lola did not walk out of this as the winner, I would have thrown things. Because you already did me wrong with Jada Parker. And I was like, if you do me wrong with Lola, I'm gonna be furious.
We're gonna fight somebody.
Seriously, but no, they didn't. They did it. It ended exactly the way I thought it would. So it was great. I love me some Lola, and I'm so glad that she's like doing her thing. And I love me some Kalani too. And don't get me wrong, I love me some Kalani too. But yay for Lola.
100%. So Lola once again wins the NXT Underground match, and fantastic. So we move backstage where JC Jade is having a minor panic attack, as she always does when she actually has to defend her championship. And so Lainey Reed tells JC that, hey, you know what? I'm going to take care of Soul, so you have one less problem to worry about come Texas. And yeah, we'll take care of that. Spoiler alert, Soul snatched that Soul real quick. um, I will say Soul versus Lady was actually a pretty fun match last night, but Soul wins, and so I was like, you thought. Anywho, so yeah, so we'll see what happens next week, next Tuesday in this triple threat. All right, boys, we're about to get and talk about the main event, but before we do, this is the last call. If you still want to check out our social medias or look at our merch as we talk about the main event, link in the description to both of those things are in the chats across the places that we stream right now. So please go ahead and check those out if you will. With that out of the way, let's get into our main event for the NXT Championship. Joe Hendry defending the title against Ricky Saints. Now, I thought this was a solid match. I may have not liked the feud and the story going into this, especially, unfortunately, poor Kilts had to suffer through the Ricky Saints experience live and in person when we had a bootleg Joe Hendry concert with Ricky. God, it was oh my God, it was so awful. Whereas I had lots of matches of the year contenders from this past weekend, that whole Ricky Saints concert so far is on my list of the worst segments of 2026. Like, it was so bad. And so Joe Hendry is tired of Ricky being, Ricky and being annoying as hell. So this is literally that is how we got this match. Joe Hendry was tired of Ricky Saints being annoying as fuck and challenges him to a match at Vengeance Day. I'm like, baller, support this. Low Joe Hendry with a little bit of spice. That is fantastic for all of us. I will say this is a pretty solid match in terms of in-ring wise. Um, by no means of the imagination and of the words that I think this is a bad match, but I was just like, I will say after everything that we had saw come way before this, especially with both women's matches going back to back like that, I was just like, I was tired. I was watching this and I was like, this match is pretty good. I do like that Ethan and Ricky have a will they won't they relationship, especially when Ethan, quote unquote, and I put it in air quotes, missed sliding the title to Ricky and Ricky getting all butthurt. And then on Tuesday, being over dramatic as fuck, he did the same thing where he like aggressively slid the title way far away from Ethan. And I was just like, this love-hate relationship is going to be fun to watch it implode as Joe Hendry is going to whoop their asses. It's going to be fun. Hopefully, we'll see. But yeah, the match itself is really solid. I do think there's some fun stuff in here. But I was not surprised by the result of this. I'm really happy that Joe Hendry won. He's still our NXT champion. And like I said, based off everything that happened last night, because we got Joe Hendry and Miles Bourne versus Ethan Page and Ricky Saints in the main event. And Ethan ends up pinning Joe Hendry. So I'm like, I smell a triple threat at Stand and Deliver in 2 weeks. And watching Ethan and Ricky just fight each other is going to be fun to watch while Joe Hendry just watches with a box of popcorn in the ring. But yeah, I enjoyed the match, but with everything that the 2 matches that came before this, I was tired. I was like, oof, I'm exhausted, but let's finish this. So this was a good match. I enjoyed it, but nowhere was it on the level of the funness of the underground match and the oh my god, I barely have any notes because I was glued to my TV screen match with Tatum and Izzy. Alrighty, so Kilt, I'm gonna start with you. Oh, actually, no, I'm gonna start with you, Papa, on this one. What did you think of our main event for Vengeance Day?
Muted. I know, I was muted. I mean, it was good. Of course, Joe Hendry was involved, so he's my boy. And I love watching him no matter what. But this went exactly the way I thought it would. I didn't think there was any big surprise here. I didn't, which is unfortunate because I really want Joe to do something that's surprising. I want to be surprised that he actually won. If he wins, I wanted to be surprised that he won because this one didn't really feel like a challenge to him. To me, anyway, watching it, I was like, this doesn't feel like it's, dare I say, worthy of your time, but it kind of felt like that. And I honestly believe that the Izzy and Tatum fight should probably have been in this slot.
Oh, if they put Izzy and Tatum as the main event, I think that would like we talk about for CMLL. You put that match in the crowd go happy position, and you're gonna have a really good. You're gonna have the crowd go home happy. But
yeah, because again, like you said, you were tired, and I mean, I was just like, okay, can you just say, Joe, you're the winner, and let's move on. I mean, that's exactly because it was like, there's no way that this is going to be any type of serious challenge. At least, and I was like, because again, the feud makes no sense. The lead up to it really made no sense. And I was just like, okay, I mean, I watched it only because, Joe, but if Joe wasn't in this fight, I probably wouldn't have watched it at all. But yeah, that's my take on it.
Fair enough. And finally, Kilts, you were in the building for this one. How did we feel about our main event?
This was good. I was really expecting Ethan to my brain farted, to turn on Ricky both Saturday night and last night. Yeah, so that was entertaining at least. It was a good match, Again, it wasn't the best on the night because we already saw that, but I enjoyed it thoroughly. I'm excited for the next step. Um, we'll see what goes on from here because it's going to be interesting and messy
Yep.
one way or another.
Yep, because after Texas next week, well, technically we're still on that, and that was kind of the way last night too. But now we are on the road to NXT's biggest show of the year, always, which is Stand and Deliver. So we are on our way there. So we shall see how the next few weeks pan out for everybody. But gentlemen, that has been Vengeance Day. Again, at first I was just like, this should be an okay show. Um, but honestly, because of the two women's matches and the Dion and Tony match, I think those three matches definitely were like the highlights of the evening for me watching this. And it definitely helped push it to the grade that I got it. So I ended up giving Vengeance Day a B plus, and it definitely was boosted by those three matches that I mentioned. The opening and closing matches were still pretty solid. I think the only thing that kind of dragged was the promo we got from Soul, Zarya, and JC in the middle of the show. But it wasn't anything that was too crazy, but we could have cut it down and could have been a pre-tape or even live backstage. But still, very solid, very happy, and I'm super excited for not Vengeance Day, for Stand and Deliver in 3 weeks. And like I said, we will be doing a live watch along on Saturday 4 p.m., which I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show that Stand and Deliver will be streaming on WWE's YouTube channel of all things. So Stand and Deliver is going to be on YouTube, which is very interesting, but I'm not going to complain. So we will be doing a live watch along on Saturday, April 4th, and then the post show will be on the 7th. So yeah, I'm super excited. I'm also excited for what's coming up for the remainder of the week. In about an hour, I will be back here with Papa Oso, and we'll be talking about CMLL. So we go from NXT PLE to the International Women's Day show in CMLL. All women's matches. We got 8 of them to talk about, and honestly, I had a balling ass time watching, so I'm excited to talk about that one. Then tomorrow evening, we continue the International Women's Month / weekend, as I will be here with Benny as we talk about Eve Girls of Battle Riot's Wrestle Queendom 8, which saw women's wrestling. And honestly, that show alone has 3 of my match of the year contenders already, and it's barely March, and it's insane. And then we wrap things up this Friday with TNA, where I don't know if I'm happy that Papa Oso is back, or I'm more afraid that he has been missing the last couple of weeks. So he has avoided all the shit that we have had to gone through the last couple of weeks, and the convoluted plots that we've been getting in TNA. But you know what? His presence will be welcome because we're gonna talk a lot of shit on Friday, and it's gonna be good. So, but that's going to be it for all of us here tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in to La Nextrema. Again, the next time the regular NXT show post show will be back next Wednesday. We're going to talk about and we're going to come in either happy or very upset, because honestly, the women's match is what I'm looking forward to the most. Also, I need Tatum to win that steel cage match as well. But that's going to be it for us here tonight. From all of us here at BC WrestlePod to you at home, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. I'll catch you later in about an hour for CMLL. But until then, sayonara, adios, and until next time, peace.